Well, welcome everyone to our April 13th council meeting. It's now 6 p.m. We have a few regrets from councilors, Councillor Cody Olszewski, Councillor Jim Downer, Councillor Carol McGinn, and Mayor Strathern are all unable to attend, but we do have quorum with 5 other members here today. I'll like to call this meeting to order. Anyone who has a conflict of interest? Councillor Main?
Yeah, I have a conflict of interest on the harbor revitalization due to funding of public art, and I'm going to file that with the clerk.
Wonderful. And I too am going to claim a conflict. I have the conflict with 5.4.7 outdoor patio program, as I have direct business with many of the licensees that would be involved with this program through my day job. So I have filed the proper paperwork. So when we get to the point, we'll be sure that both of us don't vote. Excellent. Next up, we have our mayor's introductory remarks and land acknowledgement. I'd ask John Main if he could do the land acknowledgements for us this evening.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have it right here. The town of Midland recognizes that it is located on land which is the traditional and treaty territory of the Anishinaabe people, now known as the Chippewa Tri-Council, composed of Bosley First Nation, Rama First Nation, and the Georgina Island First Nation. This territory is within Pre-Confederation Treaty 5 and Treaty 16 and included in the Williams Treaties of 1923. The town of Midland recognizes that it is located on land which is the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat and the historic homeland of the Métis, and the town is home to a large and diverse community of Indigenous people.
Thank you, Councillor Main. Now I will ask you to join me in a moment of silent reflection. And I'd ask that we remember the family who was lost a resident of Midland and a loved one in a fire last week. Devastating, and my heart goes out to the family. And will please join us in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you, everyone. Next up, I'll turn it over to our Mr. CEO, Mr. Deneau. You have a couple of staff retirement announcements.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Can you hear me okay? Yes, and thank you for acknowledging the condolences to the family. Certainly want to express our condolences for their loss as well. And I also want to express some appreciation for obviously the first responders. During that event, we were able to get assistance from the communities around Midland as well, which were required to deal with that situation. So I want to certainly extend our appreciation to our neighboring municipalities as well, who helped us with that situation. So thank you for that as well. The retirement I would like to acknowledge is for one of our volunteer firefighters, actually Kyle Corvo. In March, he had announced his retirement, and that was after 15 tremendous years of service to the town of Midland. Kyle obviously started back in 2007, serving this community, had a particular passion for training and development on the fire side. So on behalf of the town, I'm sure on behalf of council as well, I'd like to extend our appreciation for Kyle and all the work that he's done for the town, and also to his family for the support that I'm sure they needed to provide Kyle while he was helping serve our residents. So thank you, Kyle. Congratulations, and enjoy your retirement.
Well said.
With your permission, Deputy Ross, I would like to call upon Mitch, who is also on the call here. We were very fortunate to get a very prestigious award this past week, so I think Mitch is absolutely the fitting person to make that announcement.
Mr. Sobel, all yours, sir.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, earlier this week, I had the privilege of attending the Ontario Good Roads Association annual conference. First one back since COVID, so not so annual the last couple of years, but it was great to see a bunch of folks get together again within the industry. my attendance was there for a real specific reason. Town of Midland, as well as Tatham Engineering and Arnott Construction, were honored to receive the award for the 2021 Municipal Concrete Award through the association. So we have the hardware in our possession. Here's the award here. So this award is again, it's an annual award. It's given out to projects that show excellence and innovation for ultimately concrete projects. So the project that won us this was the King Street Rejuvenation Project, and the use of concrete, the colored concrete, the crosswalks, the unit pavers, and ultimately the construction downtown and during a pandemic to boot. And they did use our phrase "on time and on budget" in the presentation as well. So it was a major team effort. It wasn't only myself. So I'd like to extend a thanks out to Arnott Construction and Tatham Engineering and Envision Tatham for their help in the project, and anybody else along the way at the town and the volunteers and whatnot to support us through the project. So very honored to receive the award, and we look forward to trying to win many more for the town.
Congratulations. Mr. Doe, anything else to add?
No, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I do obviously very proud of our team. I'm very proud of the decision that council made to move ahead with this project. And as Mitch said, to be able to accomplish a project of this size, probably the biggest project that the town has ever undertaken, to do it on time, on budget during a pandemic, absolutely stellar work. And that involves everyone at the town, you know, from the finance team right through the engineering team that worked with our contractors. So a big thank you to everyone. And of course, our businesses as well, who are extremely cooperative, you know, and supportive of us throughout this entire event. So we now get the benefits of being able to use that beautiful downtown that we have. And hopefully, as we recover through the pandemic, see even more people out in Midland.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, Mr. Sobel, and to all the staff and to everyone involved in the project. I was at Good Roads myself, and I was amazed how many people after the award was getting, "Oh, you're from Midland, you guys just won a great big award. That's fantastic," etc., etc. So it was very much noticed by everybody at the conference. So congratulations, and great job. And it's always, you know, we don't get a lot of recognition sometimes, but enjoy this one. So you're well deserved. Thank you. Next up, we have a move by Councillor Main, second by Councillor Cunningham, that the contents of the regular council meeting, regular council agenda for April 13th, 2022 be approved as amended. Withdrawal of item 12.7, motion of which notice was given, moved by Councillor Gordon, that council defer any further binding decisions related to the implement of Midland Bay Landing development of the 2022-2026 council. Municipal council. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Councillor Gordon had a question.
Thanks. Actually, just more of a comment around that removal, since you know, there was quite a bit of notoriety around that motion being here tonight.
I would caution that it is not on the agenda, and I have reached out, and you feel free to talk, but I was told that it's not on the agenda and it's not up for discussion. But if you have a comment, I'll allow it.
Yeah, just a comment about its removal, you know, at my request.
Yeah.
So I've asked, just so people know, and it's on the public record, I've asked to have my motion relating to the Midland Bay Landing development pulled from tonight's agenda, after learning that a more appropriate time to have these discussions will present itself during the due course, and so as not to interfere with the established RFP process. I do want to thank the residents who took their time to write council. I can assure you we've all received your feedback. Then there will be more public feedback opportunities. I've been assured of this around this project this term, but I've learned that tonight is too early in the process. So effectively, that's why I made the request to have it pulled.
Thank you, Councillor Gordon. Well said. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So carried. Bear with me, please. Next up, we have the moved by Councillor Gordon, second by Councillor Prost, that the items and related recommendation contained within the April 13th, 2022 consent agenda, as consent items have been considered by council be adopted with the exception of item 5.4.4 CSR 2022-2025 delegation of staff of certain planning and development approvals, which will be considered under section 12, reports and other items withdrawn from the consent agenda for council consideration. Also, that item 5.4.3 CSR 2022-24 harbor revitalization be considered under a separate motion, and also 5.4.7 CSR 2022-28 outdoor patio program to be considered under a separate motion. Those are the two motions that we had a conflict on, so we're voting on the rest. So all questions, Councillor Gordon, then I'll go to Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Gordon.
Thanks. Just a couple of comments. The Midland Point Road report is a staff report, well received. As soon as I saw it on, pardon me, I got the plague here too. As soon as I saw the report, I forwarded it to the proponents who were anxiously awaiting news from the town on what was going to happen with Midland Point Road. And the feedback I got was jubilance. I mean, it was more than they'd hoped or expected for it. I mean, I didn't talk to every one of them, obviously, but the person who I did speak to, who was a representative of the group, was very happy with not only the the compromise of making the community safety zone, and understanding that requires police enforcement. That on its own won't slow people down, but the added bonus that was a surprise to them and myself, that I'll be a location where one of our speed signs gets mounted. So anyway, they're very happy about that. I definitely feel that they were heard, because it was a bit of a battle to get to where we are. And I think work well done by the staff in not only listening, but flexing and pivoting to the needs, not only of us debating these things, but of the residents themselves. So I just wanted to shout out to the staff. Good job on that. You made a group of people very happy in what's going to be a tough summer anyway with the construction. The other one was about the vaccination updates of our, for council, board, and committee members. Clearly, the province has lifted those requirements, and it makes sense for us to follow in lockstep, even if it doesn't make good scientific sense. As a lot of us are down with the Rona right now, and the hospitals are filling up, but there's not enough. Nothing I'm going to speak to try and say that we should be held to a different standard than any other organization in the province right now. So happy to support removing that restriction for people, but I do encourage you to continue wearing masks and distance and wash your hands and everything like that, because if you haven't enjoyed one of these variants yet, I don't wish it on anyone that I know or respect or like, and I'm not even sure if I wish it on the people I don't. I think we pulled a revitalization, so I'll talk to it then when we talk about it. I think it's wonderful that we're again nailing these and going after funding. And I think that was the only things I wanted to just comment on. Not really questions, but just I didn't want to pull them to say that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gordon. Councillor Cunningham.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I also want to echo Councillor Gordon's thank you to staff that they looked at the exceptional situation on Midland Point Road and were able to understand what is happening there, why it is such a challenge, and move forward with a robust response to it. So thank you so much for taking that time to really examine what was going on there, to recognize the disparity in timing of some of the previous speed tests, and really get into a deeper level of analysis on that exception, recognizing it is an exception. And I also just want to say I'm so excited the farmers market's coming back downtown so we can enjoy this award-winning concrete constructed beauty while buying local produce and baked goods and some of the wonderful delights that I have been missing over the winter time. So spring's here.
Wonderful. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Wonderful, so carried. Next up, we have a item, Councillor Main. This is the item that you have a conflict with, so just want to make you aware. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Prost. That item CSR-2022-24 harbor revitalization, and related recommendations contained within consideration by council be adopted. Any questions or comments with regards to this item? Councilor Gordon?
Just to reiterate how happy I am to see what seems like a renewed vigor of going for grant funding and bringing really creative new things that we need to have done around the town to us without directly impacting the tax levy and making them conditional on getting funding. We saw that for those of you who followed our budget process. That's how the tennis courts and things are being redone. I don't know if this is one of those highbrow nudge, nudge, wink, wink things that's on our report, because, you know, maybe the funding is locked up. Maybe we're still waiting for it. But revitalizing the harbor is something that, I mean, arguably, it's really our first point of contact with a lot of our visitors who bring a lot of money into the tourism by coming to our shores and our docks with their boats in the summer. So really happy to see this. Really hope to hear that the funding all falls in place and that this can get done. And again, kudos to the staff who are writing for these grants and even more importantly, getting them.
Here, well said. Any other questions or comments with regards to this item? All those in favor? We so moved. Please note that Councilor Main did not vote or participate in that conversation. Next item, I'm going to move over to Councilor Cunningham, if she could, and I will declare my conflict on this one.
First, I need to unmute, then I can go find my screen that has it. Hold on a second. I have a motion moved by Councillor Gordon, seconded by Councillor Main, that item 5.4.7 CSR 2022-28 outdoor patio program and related recommendations contained therein, considered by council, be adopted. Are there any comments or questions on this item? Seeing, oh, we see Councillor Gordon.
I was always going to have something to say. I think the fees are appropriate and reasonable, given that we are in the recovery mode from this pandemic, I hope. And I do look forward to seeing these patios popping up on the downtown core and our revitalized downtown and frequenting them. So bring them on, bring on the spring.
Absolutely. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that is carried. So I can pass that back to Deputy Mayor Ross and note that he did not participate in the discussion or the voting on that item.
Thank you very much, Councilor Cunningham. Appreciate it. All right, next up, we'll resolve moved by Councilor Main, second by Councilor Cunningham, that council resolve into the committee of the whole. All those in favor? So carried. All right, we had one item that was withdrawn. And it was a delegation to staff of certain planning and development approvals. That staff report CSR-2022-24 delegation of staff of certain planning and development approvals dated April 13, 2022 be received, and that council pass a delegation bylaw in accordance with staff report CSR-2022-25 dated April 13, 2022, the effect of which would be to a delegate site plan approval authority to staff for the following site plan files: SPA-06-17 714 Bomb Beach Road, CPA-02-19, 16928 Highway 12, SPA-01-20 952 Jones Road, SPA-03-21 786 William Street, SPA-09-21 16621 Highway 12, and last but not least, SPA-10-21 658 King Street. I need a mover and a second to get this on the floor. I see Councilor Gordon and Councilor Cunningham. Maybe we could, if we could, Mr. Campbell, if you could give us a quick Cole's notes on the items and what this is about. I apologize, or I see Mr. Farr's here. just to give the public a rough idea of what the actual motion entails, it would be wonderful if you don't mind. I apologize. I should have gave you notice, but I hope you don't mind.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Ross and members of council, for the public. This report is requesting of council that authority be conferred on staff to approve a number of site plans. The way that Midland handles site plans, all site plans, unless delegated to staff, receive final approval from council through council reports. The applications that you see in front of you are all mostly applications that the staff have been received, I guess, over the past couple of years, some more recently. I think I have to kind of commend the planning division, Steve Farquharson and Andy Warson, senior planner respectively, have been kind of plowing through a list of legacy files, a backlog of site plans, and you can see a number here that date back, in fact, as far as 2017. We're starting to see the light of day on a few of these, not the light of day entirely, but we're starting to make some decent headway and digging in as the team kind of gained some traction here. I think we've only collectively been here for about 9-10 months or so, and it's been a busy 9 or 10 months. And what you see in front of you is a reflection that progress has been made on these. What we find is with some of these older applications and some of the applications that council knows well, like the Jarlette retirement facility is one of the projects that's included in this list. They're known to council, they're approaching the end, they're of significance to the community. And we find when the applications are of this nature, not necessarily controversial, but where the applicants really wanted to get over that finish line, that at times the queuing schedule to get that report to council, it kind of adds another 4 to 6 weeks to the process. And we're finding that applicants are kind of agitated right now. They're working with us and we're working cooperatively, which is really great news for the team and for administration and applicants. And what we're asking for is some additional time. Now, for the public, when we do review these site plans, I can assure you that the planning team is reviewing these closely and identifying logistical issues, site design issues of interest, and what we view as of importance to the community, and try to sort of lock those down and capture those in the approvals that go forward. I want to share a quick example of something that we've made some good headway on. It has to do with the Jarlette facility. Through the processing of that application, previously the owner applicant had received approval to run a chain link fence on along the periphery of the property at the street. So that's kind of less desirable when you're trying to achieve a kind of continuous, aesthetically pleasing built form. And through discussions with that applicant, looking at things from a design community-minded perspective, our manager Farquharson is able to get an agreement from them. And it's not something that they were required to do. It's something that they voluntarily stepped forward to do. Masonry pillar decorative wrought iron fence at the street. It's these kind of fine tuning pieces that are things that are dealt with through site plan. And it's something small like that is not a big example, but it's an illustrative example of the kind of things that staff are working through. And it's illustrative of the kind of rigor that'll be applied to finish these things off, but also trying to achieve some efficiency. And like I said, get over the finish line, move these people out of the planning process and into the building process, which is really where they want to be, and where they ultimately want to be is to activate these different uses, realize their business plan and vision. So on these 6 applications, we're looking for that approval to take them over the finish line.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Farr. Greatly appreciated. Any questions or comments with regards to this item? Councillor Main? You're muted, sir.
Sorry, I'm glitching in and out here, so I'm hearing every other word. So I didn't get to hear all of the words from Executive Director Farr, but I really greatly appreciated that. The reason why I wanted to pull it because I just love seeing site plans at council as part of the public engagement, just as a final sign off on some of these issues. And as Mr. Farr was saying, some of these proposals go back even to last term. And so as we move from the planning amendment stage into the site plan, that's when you start getting into the nitty gritty and you start, where are the trees going to go? Is there too much parking? Is there not enough housing? And so some of these are of such large magnitudes of sites that I just kind of wanted to propose that perhaps some of the larger sites, site plans come back to council just for a final review at the council level, just to make sure that it achieves all the community goals, societal, social goals, economic goals, environmental, and just general concerns with site plans. Usually there's excessive amounts of parking, but that's usually on us because we require so much parking. So those types of questions at the site plan level, that's when we usually get to just kind of have that final check and ask the questions of why design decisions have been made. Why is the apartment oriented this way as opposed to this way? Those types of questions, I always find very helpful to be asking at the site plan level. And most of the time, essentially all the time, we always approve it, usually as proposed, but just gives us that level of comfort that we've been able to ask the questions and get some additional context or background on some of these larger sites that have taken multiple years to get to this point. So I'm certainly comfortable with delegation. We've done that through the pandemic and we know how competent our planning staff is. Just kind of an extra level of community comfort to have the site plans come before council and have the PDFs on the agenda so everyone can see and that type of thing. But I'm very comfortable with delegation, but I would also be more comfortable with having it at the council level. So certainly don't want to delay it just for a frivolous reason. And we want to people move from planning into building, as Mr. Farr said so perfectly eloquently. I just wanted to make those comments and just see if that was an opinion of council. And if we want to delegate, I would fully support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Main. Any Councillor Cunningham? Sorry, before I go to Councillor Cunningham, I see Mr. Farr. Did you have a comment with regards to Councillor Main?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Ross, thank you for that, Councillor Main. As you rightly noted, the request that's been made this evening is for delegated authority for some specific files, 6 specific files. Staff are considering, and it's noted in the report, the notion of seeking broader delegated authority for the purposes of moving applications through the site plan process more quickly. In the event that we were to bring forward something for council's consideration where we sought greater delegated authority, we would always have that space to bring specific sites forward for council consideration, particularly where there's matters of a controversial nature or a very high level of public interest. I think as staff want to kind of share and look to council for guidance on those matters, given the nature of those files that we bring forward. But I do want to caution council that currently the province is considering a bill 109, which involves amendments to the Planning Act. There's been a series of amendments to the Planning Act over the last couple of years through the current government of Ontario. And what's contemplated in that bill is the full delegation of authority to staff for all site plan approvals. It's a very straightforward approach that's been taken by that's being proposed by the province that would in fact not allow council to approve site plans. The premise behind it appears to be to speed things through the site plan process on the basis that real public consultation is more appropriately oriented around official plan amendment, draft plan and subdivision type of applications where individuals in the public can actually appeal the outcomes. There is no right of appeal around site plan. So the notion is that it's an implementation kind of a planning act process. So staff certainly looking at site plan, looking at the way Midland's handled site plan, see a need to focus more strongly and engage the public more thoroughly on the zoning bylaw stage. And that's at implications but also has to do with the fact that legally, some of the significant provisions that can be incorporated into site design, massing, location of buildings is really affected through zoning, less so through site plan. So I wanted to caution council about that because that bill has reached second reading and it's under debate at a standing committee right now. In the event that that bill was to pass, staff will certainly come forward and orient council to what's happening. It would also require some procedural changes within the administration to address whatever the associated provisions around that legislation might be. In the interim, however, I just want to return to the notion that we may be coming back to seek some broader delegated authority again on the basis of moving site plans through the process more quickly, but always until that bill 109 passes with that option to come back to council. And it's something that we take very seriously in the event that that came forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farr. Councilor Main, do you have a follow-up before I go to Councilor Cunningham?
Thank you. No, thank you for the explanation. That's very greatly appreciated. The only comment I was going to make was, I know that we've done so much more emphasis on having a nice digital record of all the different site files. So each different application has this kind of its own little sub page on our website. And I think that's fantastic. So you can follow the process as it's gone from the official plan amendment as moving to site plan. And I think that's really just what we want to see, or at least what I like to see, is just have, so when the site plans are approved, not necessarily they have to come on council so that the PDF is on the council agenda, but it's on the town's website. So when the buildings start going up and people say, hey, what's going on here? Then we can point them into the direction. So we say, here's the site plan that's been approved, it's been delegated, and achieves all the goals that we wanted, and we've asked all the questions, and that type of thing, just so that there's that transparency and openness, and not necessarily for engagement so people can appeal site plans, which they can't, but just so that just there's more of an awareness of the different developments in town. But his answer and rationale is, as always, very sound. So thank you for that explanation, Mr. Farr.
Thank you, Councilor Main. Councilor Cunningham?
And so at this point, of course, most of my comments are a little bit moot. I support this motion. And I think one of the things that Councillor Main is speaking to is we love to see what is happening. And I think the community loves to see what's happening from a standpoint of, hey, here's what's on the books. And I know we have usually annually some quick view of all the things that are going on, but not necessarily do we know when it's coming up, and maybe not just from that friendly, hey, here's how many units are going up, here's how many developments have actually broken ground, shovels have dug them up, and then telling some of the story behind it so that people do know what's happening, how it's happening. As much as we know that we have great staff who are doing their job and following the directives from the official plan, etc., we still like to hear the stories of what's coming into place. And I know there's an article in the paper that happens every so often. It's like, what's the story behind this? What's happening here? And I love reading those. I'd love to see some of those at the council table too, as opposed to saying no to this motion just because I'd like to hear the story. I like this motion. I like the idea of things efficiently going through our planning group. So that's about it. I'm really just agreeing with both Mr. Farr and Councillor Main.
Thank you very much, Councilor Cunningham. Mr. Farr, I apologize, Councilor Gordon.
Thanks. I'll bring one of those newspaper stories to the discussion right now then. So since the agenda got published, and from before that as well, I'm sure other councillors have had prospect or hopeful residents of Midland reaching out to them about the Caitlin development at Bayport. And it was the subject of a newspaper article about a month ago, where our CEO provided an update and the mayor had a few words. And I'm wondering why that address is not on the list of things for delegation, because the perception by the people, who are kind of stuck in between, it's the town's fault, it's the developer's fault, the people just want to have their homes and move into them, is that things are not moving along quickly. I don't know where they're at. I know that there's conversations that are weed level that we can't talk about privately or publicly, sorry. But from a high level, I was got just a little saddened not to see that address on this list for delegation, hoping that staff would then have the ability, without, you know, encumbrance of council meetings, to push this along, assuming it's not already moving along well since the article was last updated online. So is there any solace we can provide that there's a way for this to continue to expedite, assuming, you know, both people have provided what they needed without delegating this to you? Or is that just an oversight, or is it a completely different animal and I'm conflating the two?
Mr. Farr?
Yep, through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Gordon. A simple but not necessarily a complete answer is that subdivision is a subdivision that's not a site plan. It's not something that staff would be able to gain delegated authority for. The subdivision has already been approved, frankly. Like the owner is working through the conditions to clear the conditions to move them forward. Staff are spending a considerable amount of time working to be in a state of readiness to move the application forward to the various different kind of conclusion and approval points. And so we're trying to be as clear as possible with Caitlin about what the expectations of the town are. And I think that clarity is going to be helpful for advancing it. I, like you, have also heard from our residents. We're focused on moving forward, trying to find bases wherever possible to move through the process, get into an approval state. And that's a two-way street. And we require Caitlin's cooperation. And we try to set things up so that that is possible. And we continue to take that perspective and share that perspective with the public when they contact us. We like to see that brought to a conclusion as well. I don't think there's any question about that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farr. I think it will stop the conversation with regards to Caitlin. If you have a question with regards to the item on the floor, Councillor Gordon, please feel free to. I'll allow.
I was just going to follow up and say thanks for that, because
No
clearly
problem.
we want you know, property taxes to come in, and that requires
Sure.
homes to be built and people to move here. So we're as interested in getting all of these projects moving as quickly as possible. So I do continue to road people to the town, probably to you, Mr. Farr. So I deflect them because I don't wade into well, now I don't wade into procurement, but before that I didn't wade into planning issues. So
Thank you. Any other questions or comments with regards to this item? All those in favor? Councillor Main, sorry, Councillor Main, I'll allow last.
Yeah.
last
I was just going to
comment,
say,
please.
I'm really looking forward to the new Jarlette. The new building on the Jarlette site looks amazing. The second phase is going to be the lodge. I just have some hopes that their second phase or their third phase, which is the northern chunk of the site, the northern half of the site, that they kind of look at that and maybe review it at that time, because they were proposed 3 small little apartment buildings. Hopefully they'll look at something a larger built form, but we'll deal that subsequently. And very much appreciate all the explanation regarding the site plan delegation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Main, and thank you, thank you, Mr. Farr, for all that information. Greatly appreciated. And we'll call the vote. All those in favor of this item? So carried. Thank you so much. Next item up, we have the COVID update. Mr. Dino.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and members of council. Certainly on the COVID side, as Councillor Gordon has alluded to, I think it's continuing to wreak its havoc amongst everyone. I know I was hit last week, but thankful that it wasn't too serious for myself, and I was very fortunate to have people who could certainly assist me through that. And I know that's not the case for many people in the public, so I certainly consider myself quite fortunate from that perspective. But there's no question that certainly at the town, we're seeing lots of people who need to isolate, work remotely if they're able to do that. And as we all say, pivot and make those decisions on how we can continue to serve the customers. And obviously making the decision about not going with our first hybrid meeting was one of those decisions that was necessary, but we're looking forward to getting back in council chambers when we can. On the COVID front, I think we've all heard that caution is certainly being promoted by all the chief medical officers. We're in the 6th wave of the pandemic. I think we've all heard that. 29 people are hospitalized in Simcoe, Muskoka as we speak. 3 are in the ICU. We had 5 deaths, almost averaging 5 deaths every week since the end of February as a result of the pandemic in Simcoe, Muskoka. So almost 450 people have died, 448 in total have died across Simcoe, Muskoka. So just a terrible toll that continues to, again, wreak its havoc, as we've been saying. And we're starting to see some of those impacts on healthcare when the healthcare workers obviously need to isolate if they're not able to do that. So caution continuing to be promoted, do all those protocol things that I think we're all accustomed to. We've encouraged our staff to, although it's not mandatory, to certainly use masking indoors. Really, we're really encouraging that. You know, we always say be kind masking, but we're trying to promote it even stronger now as this wave hopefully crests and we can hopefully come off that. So that's where we are on the COVID side. The one appeal I would like to make, you know, in terms of maybe more hopeful news is there's a tremendous amount of planning going on for our first major event, you know, coming out of hopefully the pandemic, and that is the Butter Tart Festival. So June 11th, we're all really looking forward to celebrating like we have in the past. There's just so much work going on with that. If you're able to volunteer, please go to Butter Tart Festival, nospaces.ca. Butter Tart Festival, nospaces.ca. I signed up as a volunteer today. It's a very easy process. You can pick your time slot, you know, and it would really help the team to ensure that event is just as fantastic as it has been ever. So I know the team would certainly appreciate if any of the public can help make our first event back just another tremendous success. So on behalf of the team, thank you for that. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Deputy Ross.
Thank you very much, Mr. General. Any questions or comments to Mr. General this evening? Councillor Main?
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the wastewater staff for the amazing collaboration, how vital the wastewater data has been with basically Omicron blowing our testing capacity through the roof and moving towards a decentralized approach with the rapid test, and how vital the testing that they've been doing and collaborating with that. It's amazing that we're being included in the Ontario wastewater data. So that's fantastic. Thank you for that. I just want to make a quick comment that there are 6 places in town to get rapid tests. They said they're going to be available until July. So get the tests before you get sick. And so those are Superstore, Walmart, Shoppers Drug Mart, 2 pharmacies on Jones, the one at the LCB Plaza and then the one around the corner, and also Food Basics. So get those rapid tests and have a few on hand, and make sure that if people aren't able to get them, that you can get them and give them to your friends and neighbors, because they're very handy to have, especially if you have a close contact and you are expecting that you may test positive. So that's my recommendation, is to stock up on those. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Main. Thank you, Mr. Deneau. Appreciate the update always. And we'll move on to notice. Oh, I apologize. Councillor Gordon, I see your card there.
Yeah, no problem.
Got a question?
The yellow is blending over here with Ukraine. Sorry.
The way it's set up, it sort of fades in and out, so I apologize.
The GoVax bus, I believe, is attending our beautiful town this weekend. Is going to be, or this coming weekend. I think it's Saturday and Sunday, or maybe it's Sunday at the Sports and Rec Center. Maybe Mr. Deneau knows, but if you haven't availed yourself of jab 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever we're up to, bring your health card and get poked.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? I see none. We'll move on to notice of motions. Any councillor have a notice of motion bring forward this evening? I see none. Announcements? Any announcements this evening? Councillor Gordon?
Thanks for
And I'll
those
go
of
to
you guys.
Councillor Main, and then I also have one. So Councillor Gordon, please.
Any of you guys that follow the metal scene, James Labrie, our hometown talent from the from Dream Theater. There's a good write-up in Midland today for those of you who are unfamiliar with this little nugget of amazing vocal talent that lives in our community. and calls Midland home when he's not touring all over, the world. But they won the Grammy for the best metal performance for their first track off their new album called The Alien. And while the music itself may not be for everybody, just the fact that they won a Grammy for this metal performance category should tell you that it's probably worth just going onto iTunes or whatever streaming service and have a listen at the just amazing sonic, I'm not going to go there with you, but you just need to hear this and understand that this is talent coming from our community. And I was actually in I was at Jay's Burritos, for heaven's sake, in Barrie, getting a burrito for lunch. And I don't know how many sons James has actually, but I know he has one because he was in front of me, and he is also a talented musician of his own right. And we're having a great chat about his dad's band and of course his musical works. So there's a lot of musical talent in our community. We already know that, but here's one that's hit the international stage. So just a big shout out to a local guy doing well for Midland. Way to go, James, and way to go, Dream Theater.
Fantastic. Yes, he's a hell of a guy. I got to give him credit. He's fantastic. And I texted him when he won the Grammy, and part of my text was, I can't believe I'm texting a guy I went to high school with that won a Grammy. It's unbelievable. So yeah, it really is. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Councilor Gordon, because to me, it's unbelievable. So yeah, that's fantastic. Councilor Main?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and it's amazing that he was, as we were doing Zoom meetings, he's doing Zoom rock concerts and writing a song in his home studio. So that's just amazing that Midland even has a little part to the story, which is great. Also, huge congrats to Adam Dixon on his silver medal at the Paralympic Olympics. It's amazing. Somebody should go and hang 2 silvers and a bronze off of the Adam Dixon Way sign over on Tiffin. But that's amazing. And there's lots of great news about some other Midlanders. Great article about Shayla Brown, a visually impaired actress who we've been able to fortunate see at high school productions, and she has a beautiful voice as she sings in the choirs. And then she's doing some great production in Toronto. So that's a great news article on her. Amazing news for Stephen Brunel as the Indigenous artist at the MCC Indigenous Art Gallery. So that's a very colorful, very beautiful display. I can't wait to get down there and check it out. Also, as we're transitioning into spring cleanup, a huge shout out to the operations staff that's going out night and day, cleaning up all the winter sand with the street sweepers and the big brooms and leaf blowers and all that. And so just be mindful of all the dust, and also be mindful of all the new cyclists that are going to be coming out of a hibernation. So be mindful to share the road. I also saw some Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts downtown Midland doing a little cleanup. So that's amazing, which leads me into the next part of Earth Day is coming up. I believe it's next weekend. And one place that's a great place to celebrate Earth Day is the Y Marsh. And looks like they have a full day's worth of activities on how to celebrate Earth Day. And what a better place than the Y Marsh. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Main, and I'll go to Councilor Cunningham.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to mention that the Cultural Alliance, through a grant from County, has a new video that should be showing up tomorrow at about 11 o'clock on our Cultural Alliance Facebook page and various locations. If you want to share the richness of the region, or even kind of discover some things you may not have known about our fine area, you can check out that video, share it with friends and family who may be wanting to visit this season, and give them some ideas of why. And yes, to the Y Marsh. If you have not seen the Sweetwater Festival brochures from the Y Marsh that just happened, that beautiful family on the cover, that's mine. That's my daughter and my 2 grandsons.
Wonderful. Thank you. Very beautiful. So lucky. Thank you so much. Any other announcements? I see none. Okay. I just want to send out a happy Easter to everybody. A couple of you, I had the Earth Day and James Labrie, so I appreciate you both bringing them up. And but yeah, it's great news on James and Dream Theater and everybody. Well said, everyone, and thank you for the announcements. We'll move on to the next item. Moved by Councillor Prost, second by Councillor Main, that the Committee of the Whole rise and report. All those in favor? Thank you so much. Next up, we have moved by Councillor Prost, second by Councillor Downer, that the recommendations of the Committee of the Whole for the meeting of April 13th, 2022 be adopted as resolutions of council. All those in favor?
You'd have to change the name. You had Councillor Downer in there.
Oh, I apologize.
I don't know how critical that is, but
I think it's very. So moved by Councillor Prost, second by Councillor Gordon. If that's all right. All those in favor? Thank you, Councillor Gordon. Yeah, I don't think we'd have to come back and do that again. Next item up, we have moved by Councillor Main, second by Councillor Cunningham, that the following bylaws, following bylaws, bylaw 2022-22, agreement between the Corporation of the Town of Midland and the Southern Georgian Bay Farmers Market to provide for an outdoor farmers market for 2022. We have bylaw 2022-23, appointment of Sarah Cart. I apologize if I got that wrong. Sorry. As deputy clerk, and to repeal bylaw 2021-29. We also have bylaw 2022-24, delegation of certain powers and duties, be passed and enacted. Any questions or comments with regards to this motion? Councillor Gordon?
have we introduced our new deputy clerk to the world yet? I know we got a sneak preview, but
Maybe we haven't. Maybe we'll
we're
pass
sliding in this name here. We
pass
better.
this motion so it's official, then we'll introduce it.
Yeah,
How's
very
that?
good.
I
Okay.
think that might be the best way. That'd be great. Thanks for bringing that up. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor? So carried. Mr. Deneau, you care to introduce our new deputy clerk?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you for the reminder. Councillor Gordon, with your permission, I think I'll ask Sherry if she wouldn't mind introducing Sarah. But before I do that, I just want to make sure we acknowledge both Sherry and Catherine for just the tremendous job they've done. Karen, I remember when Karen announced her retirement, and it was back in June 30th, I think, of 2021 is when was her last day at the town. So that's almost 10 months ago. 10 months ago that Sherry and Catherine have been kind of carrying the mantle here. But we're finally able to get, someone of Sarah's caliber on board to help out on the deputy side. But both Sherry and Catherine, I can't thank them enough for the just tremendous support they've provided both staff and to council. I know we've all really appreciated it, but it's not without a tremendous amount of work. And Catherine's not going very far. She's staying real close to this team and continue to help the rest of that division. So I certainly thank her for standing in as the acting deputy clerk. But through you, Deputy Ross, if I can, I'll ask Sherry to introduce Sarah.
Please. Sherry?
Thank you, Mr. Deneau, and through Deputy Mayor to the rest of council, I'd like to introduce to you Sarah Cathcart. She's our new committee coordinator deputy clerk, but for the purposes of council, she will be the deputy clerk. She's in her second week. So I figured the next meeting she'll be able to do it by herself.
Maybe not.
I'm very pleased to have her on board. She's going to be a great addition to the clerk's office. So far, everything that the training that we've worked on together, she's really catching on quickly, and I just think she's going to be an asset to this department. So I'm very happy to have her. And Sarah, if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you very much for the extolling of the virtues. I'm glad to be here, and hopefully I can live up to what Sherry's telling you about me.
Thank you very much, everyone. That's wonderful. Welcome to Team Midland.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Deneau.
Sorry if I may.
Please. Yes.
I think it's probably appropriate, given what Mitch announced earlier today. You can always refer to us as the award-winning.
Yes, so there you go.
Oh,
The
I
award.
like that. I love that. The award-winning town of Midland. Yes.
Thank you.
We need to put that award on everyone's business card also.
Hey, how many years did we do the Communities in Bloom?
Yeah,
We milked that for at least a decade.
for sure. All right, everyone. Thank you. So we passed that motion. Next motion up is moved by Councillor Main, second by Councillor Prost, that bylaw 2022-26 being a bylaw to adopt the proceedings of the regular council meeting held April 13th, 2022 be passed and enacted. All those in favor? So carried. And last but not least, moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Main, that this regular meeting of council adjourn at 6:54 p.m. All those in favor? Happy Easter, everybody. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Thank you for bearing with me.